Well, good morning. Further Aglow Center for Spiritual Awareness. And as usual, I am traveling yet again, so I'm broadcasting today from Brooklyn, New York. My talk is elevating our consciousness in a changing world. And I thought about all that is going on and all of the changes that we are being exposed to. And the only way to really thrive, even amidst all these changes, is, of course, to elevate our own consciousness. So I start out by sharing with you all that in the world of personal development, leadership, and human development, a lot of attention is being given to a topic that's labeled emotional intelligence. And I believe that that is critical and it's essential in relating well to others and being sensitive to the needs of others while still pursuing our own goals, objectives, and needs. We are thinking about accomplishing that which we want by managing our emotions so that debilitating emotions don't get in the way. And we also have the mindset that we want to do no harm to others. Now, one of the competencies in emotional intelligence, the number one, is self-awareness, to be aware of one's own emotional self. However, what I also know is that we might gain in self-awareness, but we've not necessarily discovered the true nature and the potential of our consciousness. And in this respect, our inner evolution has an opportunity for further development. So let me just say a few words, and these words actually come from Christ Returns and Speaks Truth about our human consciousness. It reads, "Your human consciousness is imperfect. It is fabricated out of selfish, egotistical drives. Let not your ego resist this valid statement. You are in no way to be blamed for this, because the ego is divinely created in order to separate divine consciousness into individuals. You need the ego. It defends you, and it draws to you what you need to survive. But it can overwhelmingly force an individual into behavior which is sick, psychologically speaking. You know that ego is the impulse behind all the crime in the world." So what I want to talk about is elevating our consciousness so regardless of what is going on in the world, such as crime, we are still able to live the lives that we desire, free of fear. And Ernest Holmes speaks this way about this continuing elevation of consciousness. He refers to it as our personal spiritual evolution, and he says it's the time and the process through which the spirit continues to unfold. Insofar as any individual understands this mental law, he or she will be able to use it. Purpose and the execution. This is the sequence of the way the law works. So I'm going to break it down, and I'm going to be talking about levels of consciousness, which have also been referred to as levels of spiritual awareness. And I will talk about spiritual practices at each of these levels that we continue to evolve through, as long as we are putting in the time, making the commitment to our own spiritual growth and development. So level one, what's the life experience at level one? Level one means to me, meaning that on a consciousness level, that we are victims to things outside of our control. So oftentimes we have a victim mentality. What happens with people who are at level one, and we've all been there, but we have evolved past that, is that we rarely take full responsibility and personal accountability for what happens in our lives, what we attract. It's about pointing the fingers elsewhere. The level of spiritual practice that usually ensues is that, you know what, there's little to no spiritual practice. And then what is the belief system? The belief system is that life is controlled by external affairs, external factors. So that's level one. Level two, we've done a little work, some reading. We've started to attend maybe services like this on Sunday. And so we start to recognize that uh, on a life experiential level, is that, we do have a role in this. And so we start to think in terms of by me, things are happening by me, by my consciousness. It's also that time in which we are learning how to manifest. But the manifestations are low level because our confidence isn't fully there in terms of what we can bring to fruition. So we might manifest the perfect parking spot, things of that nature. At this time, we probably have started working with affirmations. We may have even started visualizing the life that we want to live. And we know a lot about the law of attraction. And that could be what influenced us to start to visualize and to affirm that which we want and to recognize that we can manifest. The secret was very powerful in attracting a lot of people to this way of thinking. So we learn how to use the law of attraction, but we know there are hundreds of other universal laws as well. At this point where we're starting to realize some success in terms of wanting certain things and bringing those certain things into our life, we're feeling inspired, right? And we know that if we direct our attention to that which we want, then we can attract that which we want. We continue to study. We continue to attend services such as this, but we also make an investment in our own spiritual development by going deeper, by taking classes and understanding more fully how these universal laws work and how we can apply them. And so then we elevate our awareness to the fact that things happen through us and that we can channel divine consciousness. We then begin to spend more time on our interior world by participating in meditation on a regular basis. We also visualize a better life for ourselves, maybe even a better world. And also we have learned, you all, how to surrender to divine consciousness, how to wait with joyous expectation of only good. We continue to study. We continue to engage in our spiritual practices. And we then experience from a life perspective, the recognition that life is me. And that where I focus my attention is on my beingness, my understanding that there is no separation between me, divine consciousness, anything, or anyone. We deepen our practices of meditation. And also what we oftentimes will add to our practices is sacred service. Because we move from our own individual survival needs to actualize our full potential. And when that happens, we have more time, more discretionary income, also more energy to be in service to others. And then that ego, that ego that we need to keep us safe and to help us survive, you know what? It starts to lessen its hold on us because we understand that we live in oneness with the one. So what I'm going to focus on, you all, are our belief systems. That's where I want to spend the majority of my time today in delivering this talk. Why beliefs? Because our beliefs shape our lives because we make life conform to what we believe. We make up or we attract whatever we need in order to be right about what we believe. The best way to evaluate a belief, you all, because you might be asking, is there a distinction between what I believe, what I know? Absolutely there is. Belief is the foundational level. And then we move up to, our conviction and then ultimately to our knowingness. But I start with beliefs because that's where we have the greatest opportunity to affect change. Once something has become a part of your knowledge base and you know it and you know it at a profound level, it's harder to change, to unlearn. But when things are at a belief level, our beliefs change all the time. As we grow in knowledge and wisdom and experience, our beliefs do change. So that's why I concentrate on our beliefs. In each moment, we have the ability to decide what it is that we want to believe. And so what I am suggesting is that in each moment that you be willing to decide what to believe based on what it is that you want. What is it that you want in this life? What do you want to see? What do you want to experience? What do you want to be a part of? So if you believe that you can be happy, you will be. If you believe that you're a failure, you will fail. If you believe that you can make and have a lot of money, you will make and have a lot of money. If you believe that you're lovable, you will be loved. So what I am suggesting is maybe offering a higher level of belief. And so what I'm referring to is assuming the witness posture. What is that? So I talked about in emotional intelligence, we are self-aware. And when we assume the witness posture, we are self-aware. However, we are able to detach. We're able to be observant of what is going on in our lives, what we are thinking to bring about certain manifestation, and what it is that we're believing. It's a higher level of self-awareness. We become more aware of how and what we believe and how that impacts what we do. And in fact, we understand and we are more aware of creating exactly what we want to have happen. So this process almost magically causes any belief to fall away and to be replaced by higher beliefs that serve us well, higher levels of consciousness. And then what we begin to do, what we begin to think, what we begin to believe becomes a part of our knowledge base. And when we know something and we know it, we can live from it more fully. I'm making a distinction too between cognitive knowing, you all, and then knowing at a spiritual level. Cognitive knowing is not the same thing as knowing and being aware spiritually. And so what I'm suggesting that we do is elevate our consciousness to that of the observer position so that we observe with awareness and that we see. And what do we see? We see beyond appearances. That's spiritual awareness. That's going into the metaphysics. It's not just what is tangible and what is before us. And also at this level beyond cognitive knowing, we also can envision what will happen internally before it happens. We also can see the potential consequences of our thoughts, our beliefs, and our behaviors before they manifest. And how do we do this? We do this by taking charge of our beliefs, by choosing what it is that we do believe. And those choices, if we want certain things to exist within our lives, have to align with that, and we have to believe that is possible. So we want to consciously choose what it is that we believe so that we can create the mental, the emotional, the physical, and the spiritual outcomes that we want. In religious science, one of the things that we learn early is to look beyond the appearances. And so many of us, as we elevate up those levels of consciousness, recognize that. And we know that, yes, there are facts, yes, there are conditions, yes, there are circumstances, but we also know that there is truth, spiritual truth, and that what we are just seeing with our human consciousness, there's so much more that goes beyond that. There's so much more that goes beyond the appearances. I remind you that we can have power over our beliefs, and we want to. Why? Because our beliefs are nothing more than instructions to our mind to make something happen in our lived experience. And if we continue to hold the same old beliefs that we've always held, we'll always get the same results. To get different results, we must adopt different beliefs, higher, life-affirming beliefs that are emboldened by our faith. There's no way to change our conditions and effects other than to change our internal map of reality. That's just another way of saying to change our consciousness, to elevate it to higher levels. To get what you want in life, as it's constantly changing, we must focus more vigilantly on consciously thinking about, believing, affirming, and knowing, and setting our attention on that which we want, regardless of the appearances, regardless of race consciousness. Next, we have to act. And no matter what happens, when we take those initial actions, we want to keep moving forward to those events that we want extant, those experiences that we want extant in our life. Remember, last month we talked about failing forward. So you want to be mindful. Yes, I take an action, but it doesn't generate that which I want. Fail forward. Now you know what not to do. Now you know what doesn't work. So keep taking action. And those actions, maybe just going deeper and deeper into meditation so that you are really, just imbuing every cell of your being with faith and with absolute reality, with the capital R. So then what happens is success as you defined it. It will come as you define it. Those failures, just chalk them up to being educational failures. And it is only in reaching for higher levels of awareness, higher levels of consciousness for ourselves and for our world, that we continue to evolve spiritually. We experience spiritual evolution and the achievement of those things that we greatly desire. So I remind you, love is all there is. Love is also law. So see the reality of love. See the reality of love behind, within, around, above, below, all of existence. And the reality of love will begin to manifest in multiple ways and every living thing and in the environment itself. Your experience of joy and abundance and living life more fully will be reinforced by the consciousness of abundance and joy and living life more fulfilled. Because again, based on what it is that we believe, it will manifest the corresponding consequence in our life. So why not let it or have it be joy? Why not have it be abundance? And so what then tends to happen is a spiritual spiral, upward spiral continues to swirl, ever more exalted. And what happens is we start to experience life in a wondrous way because we have set all of it in motion by the right of our elevated consciousness. And so it is.
And so it is. So we let it be. Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you, Reverend Michele. That was enlightening, stretching us this morning. And so I see Patricia cheering there, clapping. All right, so we're going to open up the floor to any questions, any suggestions that you might have. What is your takeaway today? Any?
Yes. Boy, that was a lot to take in.
Yes.
It's kind of like setting the blueprint for an overwhelming plan that we're all, I think, in agreement with here. And sometimes it's fun and sometimes it's not so fun for me. All right. And so what I discovered is I'm like a little child in this spiritual development. And like a child, I need discipline. You know, you just can't take the day for, I just can't take the day for granted. I got to get up and I have to, first of all, connect with my Holy Spirit, put my hand on my heart and say, Holy Spirit, we're going to have a wonderful day today because I say so. And I'm looking for your guidance today. Now, that works for me, but sometimes I make the mistake of looking at the news, getting frightened, getting concerned about people's lives and their sadness and their tragedy. And I feel bad. And then I get into the down in the dumps. So I think for me, I need this discipline every day because when that happens, I need to stop and do some yoga, do some religious reading in the Science of Mind textbook, and get my mind cleaned up again from the seriousness of I see what's going on here. And I know I'm not contributing that when I stay frightened and concerned. I'm only considering contributing rather when I'm in a good state of mind and bringing love to the day. That's all I can achieve. And so for me, discipline is very, very important to have a routine that I can fall back on when I fall back. So thank you for listening.
And I'll be honest with you, Jill, I was last Monday, a couple of Mondays ago, I was with a group that I read the book that I quoted, The Christ Returns Speaks His Truth. Reverend Alma Stevens always has been my guide, and she recommended this to me. I think it was like maybe 2017. I was at her house, and I immediately bought the book. And the section that we were reading was about the news. and media, and how there's just so much violence and so much negativity that is portrayed in the media. And that, if we consume it, you've heard the adage, we become what we eat, right? It's just like the same thing. We become, what we think, right? And so we do have those de-escalations in our vibrational level. We start to sink in our vibration to those circumstances. And so, yes, absolutely, we need the discipline to continue to raise us up, to raise up that vibrational level so that we transcend that. And so that reading was a motivation for this talk.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm just going to speak to the last part, Michele, of Reverend Michele, of what you were talking about, the news. I don't look at the news often, but I do look at it deliberately. And I look now to see and hear the truth. That is a way of testing my discernment. Can I hear the truth? Can I look beyond what is appearing, what they're projecting? And I find that, that strengthens me. And of course, I'm sitting there now, I'm the commentary. I'm giving commentary to the news because I now am saying what is not there or what is the truth of what they're saying. And if someone walked in on me and I'm talking giving my commentary, and say, okay, let's call 911 and let's get her tied up because I'm all in it, because I no longer listen to what is there. I listen for what is not there. And that's my test of the news. And so I am able now to get a deeper understanding of some of the things that really are what is the matter, or the truth of the circumstance. And so to Joan, I don't let it take me. I go there, for my challenge,
Right.
for sharpening my awareness of what is the truth of what is being projected. Is there any truth in what is being projected? And I'll say that yesterday, my friend and I took the trip over to Naples and Fort Myers, and a couple weeks ago, those were places that the news had it hyped up of the horror and all of the devastation. Well, I'm not going to diminish that because there was some devastation, but the people have worked so hard. We went through communities and we just rode through the streets, and they had mounds and mounds of trees that had been collected and stacked. And so the kind of devastation that the news was projecting was not the reality of what those situations were. It was bad. They had challenge, but seeing what I saw and having heard what I heard, I could see the difference. And then I knew that the people were, they were moving forward, they were moving upward. And now there's another opportunity for those places to become new. And so the news didn't project it, they projected the devastation. But when I saw those places, I could see the potential of the newness, the change, what else can occur. And then of course I started giving commentary because I too could also see what will occur as great for some and not for others. That's my understanding of the history. So I've been able to, interject my knowledge of history. And so if you can look at the news for challenge rather than for food, then it won't upset your stomach so much. It will vitalize you. It will make you triumphant and courageous because you are now looking to see what the truth of the circumstance that they are projecting. Because keep in mind, first of all, television, tell lies to the vision, is for entertainment. It is to get into us and to train us. But as we quote, use discipline, we are able to take it in a different manner than it is projected.
Right.
And that's one thing. And then the other thing, as you were saying, Reverend Michelle, I was thinking about the changes that are occurring within my experiences. And I said, I made a little statement and I texted to myself to remember, because something doesn't look good, it doesn't feel good, it doesn't taste good, doesn't mean that it's bad. You know, and that's the part we must look for. It's not, it doesn't sound like it's a correct experience or an uplifting experience, but it's not a bad one, because we know we're on a journey, and we're
Right.
working to learn and to live and to grow.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. Congratulations.
Yes, yes. Learn, live, and grow. As we move along, move into higher states of awareness, as you say, Reverend Michelle.
Mhm.
And so you mentioned the fact that inside of belief, there is a certain amount of flexibility. Belief offers you flexibility of um, um, shifting your gears where what you believe and how you believe.
Mhm.
So I'm here. You also mentioned that the next level would be your measure of conviction and knowingness. So my challenge is, should I stay at the level of belief where I have that wiggle room, or do I go to the knowingness, knowing that when I reach a stage of conviction, there's no turning back, or virtually?
Well,
I'm like cemented there now at knowingness or conviction.
well,
I don't know if this
if
makes
you,
sense.
okay, let's say this. If you are manifesting at the highest level consistently,
Mhm.
then you want spiritual truth to be all that you know, and from where you live your life. But what I also know is that we are subject to race consciousness, and unless we are that disciplined to stay there all the time at that level, then no. You want to replace those, debilitating beliefs. You want to replace those beliefs that are not affirming life. Now, like I said, if we could always stay there, there would be no need for us to come on Sunday, right? To be reminded. We come to be reminded so that we can keep our consciousness at a high level. But it is so easy in our humanness for doubt to show up. I mean, just think about it. You know, you might be confident in one area, but have some doubt in another area about your ability. And
Mhm.
so why would you want to stay there at that level of belief? You'd want to elevate the consciousness. You may need to change that belief, substitute something that is absolute truth and not that relative truth.
Right, right.
Yeah. So
Okay,
that's what I would offer.
right. So in that faculty or that area that which I'm seeking, that truth or that conviction, as soon as I get it there, as soon as I get there, then, I cement that. Then move into another area which I'm struggling with, and, seesaw until I get there to that knowingness. So in each
And
faculty
and, and when you
area
get
now
there,
I am. Mhm.
and when you get there, none of this is going to matter anyway, because you will have ascended.
Thank you. That's a good one. That's the sentence for the day. I would have ascended. I love that. All right. So let's see. I see. Welcome, Reverend Alma. She's cheering right there.
Oh, I just wanted to add,
Okay. Go ahead.
thank you. I just wanted to add that I'm just jumping for joy sitting down at the message that Reverend Michelle um, delivered this morning. And I think at the bottom of, she said she was focusing more on belief, because that starts the ball to rolling. Um, we remember that belief is spiritual. Belief is spiritual, and
Mhm.
that is the spiritual energy that comes with our images, our feelings, and our thoughts. And what we believe is physical. And if we uh, look at what is going on in outside of us, Dr. Holmes said, see the good in all of it, implying that it is not obvious. The good is never obvious. So we just stop and take one moment. I take one thought at a time. Now, what's the good in this? And as Patricia was talking about the devastation, what is called devastation in the Fort Myers area as a result of the hurricane. Um, we discussed it, and I said, just look at more people have work. People, heard about it and they came in and they helped. That developed compassion. I say people from all over the state have sent food and clothing and furniture. They come in. That's the good. That is the good. And on the highest level, we are developing compassion, kindness, and benevolence. And that is the energy that is the spiritual energy that is ruling the planet today. We must bring in that energy as light workers. Those of us who are on this community, we must anchor that energy in love. I think Reverend Mazia said, since we are now living in a consciousness or an energy, the new world of love, it's not new. It is just now that we have, as human beings, evolved to the place that we can bring that energy in and anchor it. And we do that through our thoughts. We pass belief. Okay, a belief come in, this is terrible. The news, as Joan was saying, this is bad, this is bad. When you get into that place that you are as I call the rabbit hole, just stand up and say, it's all good. Now show me the good, and yell it to yourself. Dr. Holmes said, we have to convince ourselves of the truth because we have accepted so much dark energy of untruth. It is now time for us to come back to who we truly are. And Reverend Michele mentioned faith at the bottom. We must turn into ourselves and have faith in ourselves that whatever comes through us is God living in us, as us, and is us. And so, that's what God's doing today. Okay, let's change this. And we change it with a higher thought. I am wealthy. I am healthy. All is well. I am compassion. I am benevolence. I am kind. And when we use those words and we use them with emotion, with a feeling, as we call it, with feeling, then that energy affects even every blade of grass, every insect on the planet. And that is what we came here for, to serve the universe, to help the earth, to raise and become and be solid in the energy of love.
Wow. Wow. Man, that was an
Thank you.
exhortation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Amma. That's a sermon unto itself. Thank you.
Indeed.
Yes, yes, we are it. We are that thing. And all we need to do is turn within and recognize it and acknowledge it and spread the love. Spread the love. Get into your faith, exercise your faith, because as Dr. Charles said, love wins. Always. Wow. We have a belly full this morning. Thank you so very much, everyone. Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you.